celebrating this time your new book. Jennifer, you were on the show less than a year ago. You realize this?
Yeah.
You are a prolific and renowned author, and you are about to be prolificer because this is the first of a series. Show us your gorgeous new book, A Tour of the Human Body, amazing numbers, facts, and figures. Fantastic facts.
Amazing numbers, fantastic facts. Okay, so
You couldn't pick a shorter title.
I know. Well, it's got a complex title because it's got a series title, which is Number Tours for Curious Kids. And then it has the book title, which is the first tour in the series. Can you see this? Yeah. A Tour of the Human Body, Amazing Numbers, Fantastic Facts by me and illustrated by Dawn DeVries Sokol, which is a great name. Dawn DeVries Sokol, very musical.
It sure is. And let's also shout out to Harold Underdown, the wonderful editor, now executive editor at Kane, your editor, my mentor, and the wonderful fellow that brought us together in the first place.
Yeah. If it weren't for Harold, this whole thing wouldn't exist because I'd never done a series before. And I had an idea that was like banging around in my head about telling stories through using numbers, because numbers make facts more interesting, like they bring facts to life. But the idea was so big and complicated. And then when Harold came to Astra, Kane, the division of Astra, he started asking for series ideas. And I thought, that's how I can get that big, clumsy idea into books, do it in bite-sized pieces in a series. So Harold called for proposals, and I didn't know how to write a series proposal, but I just did, and I sent it to him, and he liked the idea. So
okay,
first series. Yeah, thank you, Harold.
Thank you, Harold. Is for sure. But yeah. You're being too modest here, because I know that many authors and agents submitted the proposals to Harold, and you were the one that he chose. How long have you known Harold?
I got to know him gradually when I started working in or doing children's books. Like his name kept popping up all over. You know, like he wrote the what is it, the Idiot's Guide to Children's Market or whatever it's called, and then he did workshops, and I just kept seeing his name all over. And then I think it's when I joined Kidlit 411, which is the writers group. You're part of it. He was very active in all the conversations, and I became active, and I guess we liked the way each other thought. So we started to have little side conversations about all kinds of subjects. And it just gradually turned into a friendship. And then he got the job at Astra doing series. And he called for series proposals, and that was the birth of this. And
so what you wrote this proposal without your agent?
I did.
Let's shout out to your agent.
Well, Karen Wiseman, and you know, I brought her into it, of course, because she represents me. But first, Harold's call for proposals, I think, it was just online. We were Facebook friends too, and so that gave me the idea. And then once I started working on it, then I brought Karen into it, and she represented me. But and the amazing thing about Harold is when I wrote the proposal, which I kind of bumbled through, but it kind of came out, it was pretty good. He liked the idea, so he helped me improve the proposal, which is really a funny thing because the proposal is to him, but he's helping me make it better. So, and then he passed it on to the other people at Kane, and they liked it.
It's like going to buy a car, and the guy says, "No, you're offering me too much money."
Yeah,
offer me less. It's not worth that much.
Yeah, or you don't want that feature, but you do want that.
So Harold, he's such a man. So he helped you write the proposal so that he could so that he could accept the improved
Yeah,
proposal. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And all the way through the whole series, like I felt like he was like a partner. Like some editors are, very helpful and they look at what you write and suggest things. But Harold felt more like a partner in creating this. And now maybe with series, maybe that happens a little more. I don't know, because you have to set up the basic context as well as each individual book that falls within the context.
So
Learning it.
what's incredible, Jennifer, is that you had this idea. You were, it's like you were waiting for the publisher to appear.
Yeah, I was waiting for the venue. I was waiting for a way to express it. I've always, even though I'm a word person, I've always been a numbers person too, and I love numbers. And sort of the basic concept behind this is that numbers make facts more interesting. Like, like I could say you have a lot of blood vessels. You have really a lot of a huge amount of blood vessels. But if I introduce numbers, if I say you have in your body, you have 60,000 miles of blood vessels, and that's enough to circle the world twice, like numbers bring it all to life.
So
And that's what goes on in this book.
enough messing around. Open up your wonderful book.
I
It is a
Okay.
book of wonder. I
Okay.
learned
So
so.
can you?
I'm supposed to be a biologist, and I learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. It was so much research, and I learned and learned and learned. It's like I had to give myself a course in the human body. Um, so here's just kind of the excitement and energy of this is the title page. But on the title page, we have a little intro. It says, "What are you made of? How does your body work? Come on our tour and see how numbers tell the amazing tale." And then I'm I'm going to jump to the page on cells because that's kind of fun. And also notice how Dawn makes it all like exciting and dynamic. A lot of books are informational and they have a lot of facts, but the difference in this one, I think, is it tells a story as it goes through, and Dawn has to connect it all in an exciting
No,
layout, and I have to do the narrative.
I love the way you write. Oh, and a few inches
I'll
below your
read.
nose is your mouth.
Well, also, I wanted to curate the facts, so only do
Yeah.
the you that's what a tour is they're curated facts, and somebody carries you through from one thing to another to another. But I'm just going to read you bits and pieces, just to show you. Like, did can you see this?
Yeah.
Did you know our bodies are made up of over 30 trillion cells? Skin cells, muscle cells, nerve cells, bone cells, brain cells, all the little bits of stuff you're built of. So, of course, nobody really knows what 30 trillion is. So then we have an example here, 30 trillion. How many is 30 trillion? Imagine a stack of pennies from the earth to the moon. It would take 90 of those stacks of 30 trillion pennies, and that's how many cells you have in your body. So I'll read you some more fun numbers. Um, Here, it talks about how the cells keep replacing themselves. The entire surface of your skin is replaced every month. That means you'll have 1,000 new skins in your life. Um,
It's so well written, of course, and it's a departure from your regular
It
writing.
is. It is. The others are a little bit more lyrical, a little bit more. They're nonfiction, but stories. Here's another one I like here. 50 million cells in your body were replaced by new ones in the time it took you to read this sentence.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, the thing is, it could have been just a bunch of information just plopped down on the page, but we didn't want that. We wanted something to carry it through, like the voice of the tour guide. It's me. And then the dynamic that this is about
I
eyes and
no,
color.
I show this because I love the color wheel and the
Yeah. So,
this
so this
explanation.
talks about everything from how your eyes see to that you blink 15 times each minute, which is 15,000 times each day while you're awake. Um, and how many times your eye focuses and how many colors you can see. Here's how talented your eyes are. This chart shows hundreds of different colors, but that's just a tiny fraction of what your eyes are able to see. Most eyes can recognize up to 10 million colors, but which is kind of amazing. Here, I'll show you some more fun ones.
And up to 1 trillion smells.
We do, yeah, I'll get to smells. Well, that's
Oh,
more
okay.
your area, taste and smell. So we do ears, which is fun. Then we're moving through the head. We do taste buds, and that's kind of exciting there. And here, oh, and also kids love kind of a little bit icky facts. Um, from your ears, it's only a few inches down to your mouth. Inside your mouth, you'll find a bit of saliva with more and more flowing through it all the time. So much, in fact, that in the average lifetime, you produce enough saliva to fill 2 swimming pools. So, kids like that kind of stuff. And then it talks about how your tongue, with 8,000 taste buds, can only taste 5 flavors. But, yeah, um, almost all of the work you do to identify food happens in your nose through your sense of smell. Our noses have 400 different receptors that can recognize up to 100 trillion different odors. So, wait, I want to do one more page. Um, this is about how much we eat, about your teeth and chewing.
Oh, I love the teeth. It says 32 teeth more or less. I love that.
Well, that's true of a lot of us. I just recently had one less tooth. I had a wisdom tooth pulled out. So anyway, once you taste and smell your food, then you chew it with your 32 teeth, more or less, and swallow it. Quite a lot of it, actually, around 1,500 pounds per year. And in the average lifetime, we eat somewhere around 55 tons of food. And then I compare 1,500 pounds a year is the equivalent of eating a medium-sized camel, and 55 tons of food is equivalent in our lifetime of eating 9 Tyrannosaurus Rexes. So it goes on and using numbers to make all the facts come alive. And
It's
bones, it just goes through
yeah.
your whole body.
So I didn't know we had 206 bones.
Oh, yeah. You're born with
Uh,
300,
yeah,
and
and then
then as you get older,
we work our way down.
yeah, you end up with 206, but that's because when you're born, your bones are flexible, and as you get older, they fuse together and they become fewer and harder. And it's good that they're flexible when you're born because you got to go through a pretty small passageway there.
So religious Jews believe that we have 248 bones. Not exactly bones, Evarim, but it's kind of interesting. I guess they never really paid much attention to count them. Um, so, Jennifer, I found a lot of levels in this book. Also, the fact that it's inclusive. In other words, it's not a book, well, some of us, have 300,000 hairs and red-haired people only have 100,000, and some people can see this and some people can hear, and older people. I love the inclusivity of the book. It's like the last page, where there's 8 billion of us
Oh, yeah.
and we're all the same.
Okay. Well, I, each of these books is going to end with a sort of bigger truth, a more inspiring truth. So, the thing I realized in writing this is that, as different as we all are, we're the same on the inside. We have the same bodies. It proves that we are one species, and that's what the story ends with. Um, Um, it's about how many people in the world. Can you guess how many people are in the world? Well, it's 8 billion. 8 building, fascinating. Can you see?
Mhm.
Fascinating, amazing human bodies. Our bodies are the link that connects us all. the one bond we share, the proof that we are one people, one family, one species, living together on our one planet, our one home. So I like the idea of, it's a tour and it's continuous and it's a story, but then it
And
ends with some kind of greater truth in it, which
and,
is that we're all a family.
yeah, and then you have the back matter,
I have a
uh,
lot of black
with
back.
with some numbers that didn't make the cut, uh,
Uh,
and
well, it gives me an opportunity to be more wordy and talk about the subjects more. I talk more about how the numbers are evolving. I mean, that's an interesting thing about numbers is some numbers are set like it's thought we know how many bones there are in the body, but then there's newer science like the science of taste and smell, and that's evolving science. So those numbers will change. So I didn't want kids to think that this is the number of everything always, period. It's interesting that science changes and evolves and that the numbers get more and more precise. And that's kind of a difference between science and religion. Religion has a concept and a story and it's a mythology, but science is always investigating and finding a higher and higher and more precise truth. So stuff like that in the back. And there's more. Then there's some different exercises back here. Like you can figure out how much blood you have in your own body by what you weigh. You can count the bones in your hand, guess how many, and then find out. And then different measurements and proportions. So stuff, lots of stuff.
and do you really enjoy all this research? I mean, a ton of research goes into this.
Um, this was more research than most books I've done.
Yeah.
It's exciting. The hard part of the research is that there's so much, but the exciting part is you go through stuff, and then bang, a fact will pop out that this is an interesting fact. This has got to be in there, and
And
that's
I know where to put it in the book.
yeah, that's the curating part. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of other similar or competitive books. They have all the facts, but I didn't want that. I wanted to tell a little story and just have the most interesting, exciting facts.
It's like a walk through museum of the human body.
It is.
And
It is. It's like
you're
somebody taking you through.
yeah, you're the curator of the museum.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
I okay, go ahead.
okay,
I
so
wanted to tell
go ahead.
you. I wanted to tell you who I was inspired by and how I did this because I realized. Actually, I just realized this.
Let's stop it for a second, and
Okay,
I'll ask you the question.
okay,
So how are you inspired to do this, Jennifer?
okay. Um, in my life out in the world, there's certain people who just hit me as great explainers, like people who took facts, the same facts everybody else is dealing with, but made them more interesting. And I think the first person who did that for me was when I was young. It was Jacques Cousteau. And in did you watch Jacques Cousteau when you were young? A
A little bit, and I
little
know
bit.
that he was your first successful
He
book.
he didn't just tell the facts of what he was discovering. He told them lyrically, and in his case, sort of romantically, but yet with precision. And it was a different storytelling style, and it was very compelling. And then after that, Carl Sagan, did you ever watch him on TV?
Sure.
Um, he had a great storytelling style. And even though he was talking about stuff that could have been very dry in a universe in the cosmos, he made it exciting because he knew how to tell the story with, he told it with a combination of wit and wonder and fascination. So then I added him to Jacques Cousteau. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson came along, somebody else I wrote a book about. And he's a great storyteller. He really gets how to be geeky with a sense of humor and fun and carry all the facts through that like geeky, fun tone of voice. So, and all of those voices, I think, entered into how I told this story. Um, and then there was one more. Oh, yeah, Bill Bryson. Did you ever read any of his books? Again, he's a real fact person, but he makes them fun and playful, and he tells it as a narrative. so I think all those people got into my brain and influenced like the voice in this book and how I tell factual stories with sort of geeky, fun wonder. Kind of.
So a few words about the illustrator.
Oh
How
yeah.
was the illustrator chosen? Do you know her?
Um,
Did you, to what extent did you work
we did.
together?
This was an unusual book because it had so much that had to go in it. So we had to find somebody who could combine many things and yet turn it into, a page or and the thing about Dawn DeVries Sokol is she's a collage artist and she does journaling. So her whole thing is combining many different elements. Like, let me find a good example. Um, well, I'll go back to the cell page. I mean, there's so much there, but somehow she gives it energy and excitement and pulls it all together. Let me find another, maybe a better example. Okay, here with the eyes and color, she had to talk about very specific close-up things like the eyes, but also that the eyes could not only see small things, but could see planets in the distance. So she has the lines going up to the planets, and she just makes a page exciting. Um, Let me see if I can find another example. Well, like this one. It's fun. She knows how to make something jump out of a page. It's very energetic layouts. And I think other illustrators, even though they might have been great, they might have done like spot illustrations, but not connected up the page in this way. And of course,
Yeah.
she worked with the book designer, but her sense of collage, and she even has little things, I don't know if you can see it, like things look like they're taped on with little pieces of Scotch tape. Um, and let me find one more. I just her sense of fun in creating a whole layout. So she turned out to be a good choice.
Yeah, but whose choice, Jennifer?
Um, all of us together. It was I was lucky to be able to be included, and um, the art director at Kane suggested some. I can't remember if Harold suggested some or just commented. I suggested some, and then we compared them all and came down to a group decision that Dawn was the one. I want to show you something else fun that
Sure.
see how it was Dawn's idea to have a ticket to the tour, and there's a hand holding the ticket. Now, let me take off the dust jacket and look what's holding the ticket.
Wow.
So on the outside, it's the hand, and on the inside, it's the inside of the body. It's a skeleton.
That's clever. I got to get my hand, I got to get my skeletal hand on that book. That that's wonderful. So Jennifer, you told me in our pre-discussion that writing a series is different than writing a book. And so explain this to us.
um, well, with a single book, the concept is tell that story and tell it the best way you can. But with a series, it's they all have to be connected by an overarching thought. So our thought was how numbers can tell stories with making them more exciting and bring them to life. But then you have to find many stories that can be told through the language of numbers and that fit together into some logical progression. I mean, you can't just do all kinds of random things. I had a list of many, many, many things. So, so I think we first you have to figure out which book is first. So the reason we picked the human body is because it's about the reader. It's about you. So it's a great subject. It's a fairly broad subject, and it's about the reader. So then we had to pick the next subject, and we wanted something very different from the human body, but something that's kind of universal. and looking at all the long lists, we came up with outer space, which is the one we're working on now. So it's another big interesting subject, and another subject where numbers really bring it to life. Like, I'll give you an example. Um, the sun is so big that 1 million Earths could fit inside the sun. So again, we use the same number story technique, but for a whole different subject. And now we have to find a third subject, which we're discussing, that also is a fairly broad subject and fits in the progression of different, fascinating, pertinent to children stories that can be told through the language of numbers in a tour. So it's more thinking than just a single book.
Is this your series? Is this because sometimes, like with science books and with long series, sometimes the publisher has the right to change at some stage the authors going
Yeah,
forward if the series becomes 30 books or whatever.
yeah, and we discussed that, and that in the future, once it's established, other writers could write within that same voice and within that same concept. So you don't know, is it a series that's going to peter out after three, or is it a series that's going to go on to 15 books? I mean,
I
it depends
I
how it
I
does.
I can see it going on to 30 books.
Well,
But there's one kind of funny thing because here I am talking from Israel and I'm originally Canadian and we are metric people. So there's 8 billion of us in the world. Most of most and we're all the same, but we're not because most of us think now in meters and centigrade and kilograms. What are you going to do for Canada, England, Australia, places that are metric?
well,
Everything in the book is in inches.
I don't, I didn't discuss that, but books get translated. So some translations go into different languages, but because we're using the language of numbers, maybe we translate it into that appropriate language of numbers. I don't know. That's I'll have to ask Harold.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I was wondering about. We're all the same, but some of us don't say inches, some of us say centimeters.
Well, we're the same on the inside. We might have different systems that we incorporate.
Absolutely. So Jennifer, how does this rate in your, this is you've done about a dozen picture books, and I interviewed you last year. We talked about your career and your life and growing up and at some stage wanting to dictating poems to your mom and then wanting to be a ballet dancer and then hanging out with Andy Warhol.
I not wanting to be a ballet dancer, was a ballet dancer.
Yes, and then okay. No, you wanted to be and you were, and then you
Yeah,
didn't want to be anymore.
that's
And then
right.
and then you studied at Parsons, and then you had a wonderful advertising career. And at some stage you said, and this wasn't clear in our previous interview. Was there like a moment where you said, "Oh, I don't want to be an advertising executive anymore. I want to write children's books," or did it slowly dawn on you?
Um, I think when I was in advertising, it was honing my writing skills, and it was fun, and it was doing commercials, and it was exciting. But at night, I was reading, and what I was reading about, it wasn't what I was writing about. So during the day, I was writing about stuff that, you know, toys or Tums or shoes or whatever product. But I wanted to write about what I loved, what I was reading about. So while I was still in advertising, I started just a tiny little bit on the side, writing notes for what if I wrote about the things that are interesting me. And because of advertising, I couldn't imagine writing something that didn't combine words with pictures. I mean, that's such a great combination. So it kind of had to be picture books. It's to me, that's like the ultimate reading art form is words and pictures combined. So I just started a little, and then as I got older in advertising, it became every day became like there was a day like this before. I've kind of done this before. So I gradually, did less and less advertising, went to freelance, and then I gradually started to get into children's books, and that was hard. It was harder to get into children's books than advertising. But after my giant stack of rejections, somehow I got a yes.
You got a yes and you barely opened the email.
I Yeah, from Karen. I think I
Yeah,
told you that story last time. I
yeah.
didn't recognize her name. I almost deleted Karen Wiseman, my agent. I almost deleted the email because I didn't recognize the name.
I bet that that happens to a lot of people. When I got my acceptance letter here in Israel
Yeah.
from Yotam, I was sure it was a rejection, and I had to come back to it because something it was like too long to be a rejection, and I had to come back and reread it because we're so used to being rejected
I know.
that when we get accepted, we can't accept the acceptance of acceptance.
But it's so weird. It's like rejection, 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 rejection. And boom, at that moment of acceptance, your entire life changes. Like suddenly you leap into a whole new stage. Like you getting your agent, trying to get an agent, trying to get it. And then boom, all of a sudden you have an agent and your life is totally different.
And you wake up in the morning, you have lists of the agents you have to query, and you say, "Oh my goodness." But this interview is about you, dear. And what I want to know is the following. So you had a lot of fun with this book. It's clear and there's humor and a lot of information, and it flows. It flows not only textually, it flows intellectually, and it also flows with the pictures.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure you had a lot of fun doing it. It shows. And I'm asking myself, so you're going to do outer space next, and you'll have lots of fun. And then you and Harold, are going to decide the third one is on worms. Are you
The
going to
third
have as
one
much
is what? The-
on worms? I don't know. The tour of
Wait,
worms.
well,
I'm just
yeah, yeah. Okay, we have some news. Day by day, we're discussing different subjects,
no,
but
no. I know. I just picked worms out of
yeah, I
my.
know, I know, I know.
I picked worms because of the previous book that we talked about. Because worms in evolution have particular significance.
Yeah.
But let's say the third book is a tour of worms,
Okay.
right? Are you going to have as much fun writing it? You think?
That's my job is to make it fun. The voice
No,
in this,
fun for you.
well, if I make the story fun, then it's fun for me. Um, I mean, the voice in this, my description of the voice is um, playfully geeky with a sense of wonder. So what makes it fun is, let's say I did worms, I'd read facts about worms, and suddenly there'd be this really cool, mind-blowing fact that okay, that's got to be in there. That's what's fun is it's like a scavenger hunt, finding those really interesting facts and then weaving them together in a story that makes sense, not just having boom, 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 facts on a page. And then ending with my bigger fact, like in the human body, it's that we're all one species, we're all the same. Um, in the outer space book, it has to do with the fact that the universe is expanding at such a rate that we're all living inside of a cosmic explosion. But it's fun to put it together, and I like writing, so it's fun.
You like writing and you're
I do.
terrific at it. So that's a that's a winning combination. So after this book
Yeah.
is out. It's getting very positive reviews, and I hope that you'll go on to write many more in this series. Is this what you want to do now, or are you going to work on other things?
There is another one in the works. I don't even
No,
know if you,
the outer space one, I know.
no, no, a whole other book with a whole other publisher with a whole other illustrator. I don't even know if
Well,
you know about this. Should I tell you?
exactly. Well,
Okay.
if you can, you're not only
Yeah,
telling
no, I'm
me.
allowed. I'm allowed.
And one thing, and I forgot because I was so excited to see you. I forgot to say that I'm Mel Rosenberg, and I'm the host of the Children's Literature Channel on the New Books Network. And you, Jennifer Berne, are my host, are my guest today. I should have said that 35 minutes ago, but I
This must
remember it
be
now.
this must be the latest introduction in any interview you've ever done.
One of them.
Sometimes you forget and do it 5 minutes in. What are we, 35 now?
We're setting another record here.
So you want to know about the other book?
If you can tell, of course.
I can. I
I
can.
want to know about all these secrets that you can tell.
Okay. Um, this is a book. It started before the number series, but then it got postponed because sometimes those things happen. It's called Dinosaur Doomsday. One world ends, another begins. And it's with Chronicle that I've done a lot of other books with. And it's being illustrated by Brian Floca, who's a Caldecott winner. A great, well, I've seen, the sketches he's done for the book. They're amazing. But what it's about is the tremendous dramatic end of the giant dinosaurs, a catastrophic event, and then how the world changes and the world opens up to the tiny little mammals that are now able to come out and be safe in the light of day and travel around and grow and evolve and evolve and evolve and evolve and become us. So it's kind of it's in two parts, which is the first, the dramatic, catastrophic end of the dinosaurs, of the giant dinosaurs. And the little dinosaurs are still here with us. Those are the birds. Um, but how the age of the mammals started and that evolution led to us. So the end of the dinosaurs was really the beginning of the future that became us. And that's what it's about. Dinosaur
Fantastic.
Doomsday.
Dinosaur Doomsday.
One world
And
ends, another begins.
Jennifer, we've known each other less than 2 years. It seems like a long time.
It does.
And
In a good sense.
yeah, in addition to being a wonderful, wonderful author, you are one of the most generous and giving people, not only in the children's literature community, which is a community of givers, but of the many thousands of people I know, you are one of the kindest and most generous, and people should know that. And I'm thanking you because I'm sure that not only have you helped me, but many other authors along their journey. And also going to thank Harold Underdown again, who's such a wonderful voice in this community, and wish you both lots of luck with this series. May your numbers increase, as they say.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for saying I'm generous. I enjoy helping people. It's fun when I see people who are talented and working on exciting things. Kind of draws me in. I love to participate in whatever way my friends would like me to participate. So it's fun for
No,
me.
but you are one of the people who go above and beyond the call of duty.
Well, thank you.
Maimonides has like his hierarchy of giving, and you're right at the top there.
Thank you.
So is there anything I haven't asked you? I mean, I can't interview you I can't go on interview you every 7 months, as much as I would like to. When is your dinosaur book coming out?
I don't know, because it's kind of, it started and stopped, and we had the editor who was working on the project left, so now we're getting a new one. So it's a little iffy at this point. I mean, it's the illustrations that Brian has done so far are great, and it's getting ready to come out, but we don't have a date yet. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you let me know. Maybe, who knows? We might do a third.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs, people say, oh, don't write about dinosaurs. There's so many books on dinosaurs. And this just goes to show that if you have a great idea, and this is a great idea, and I see so many possibilities here. I can't wait to see the book. So if you have a dinosaur idea that's original and you run with the idea.
Yeah,
Because
well, I think, there's subjects that people love, like obviously dinosaurs, and they're overwritten about in certain ways. But if you can come up with a new way in and a new way through and a new point of view, then, well, we'll see. Hopefully it will have an audience. It's, we'll see if it works.
Okay, I'm sure it will. Jennifer, what haven't I asked you? This was a wonderful interview because we didn't. People are going to watch the first interview now.
Yeah.
Thousands have seen and listened to it, and we didn't repeat ourselves. So this was all new material.
It was. It
Is there
was.
is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have? And you said like after the first interview, you said, "Oh, I should have talked about this." Well, what didn't I ask you this time?
Um, I don't know. The thing that's new for me now is moving from something that I got very used to writing sort of lyrical storytelling nonfiction picture books. So the thing that's kind of fun that people might think about is if you've done something and done something and done something, like jump into a slightly different area. I feel like a beginner again, which is a nice feeling in a way. It's fun to be a beginner and be learning something new. So it's good to establish yourself as something, as a particular type of writer. I mean, you don't want to be all over the place, but then it's also fun after you've established yourself to just find a new area and become a beginner again. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
So, eternally young Jennifer Berne. It's been a real joy hosting you again. And I'm going to repeat myself because we're at the end of the show. So I'm Mel Rosenberg again, and I'm still the host of the Children's Literature Channel. And I've been having a wonderful interview with the wonderful Jennifer Berne, celebrating her new book. And I've written it down because the name is so long. A tour of the a tour of the human body, amazing numbers, fantastic facts. Illustrated by the wonderful Dawn DeVries Sokol, edited by our wonderful friend, mentor, and editor, Harold Underdown, executive editor of Kane for Astra. And Jennifer, it's been a real pleasure. Go out and come back in and we'll sum up. Everybody else, run out and buy this lovely book. It flows, it knows, it shares information, and even if you're a professor of biology, there's still so much you can learn from it. So, Jennifer, congratulations. Go out and come back. And everybody else,
Okay.
see
Bye bye.
you
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you.